Hi everyone, I'm your coach Todd Hughley. And if you've never been to my channel before, I'm very big on teaching you how to use the arms, the wrists, the hands, and understanding how the body is just a support system in the golf swing. It is not the driving force. That's what my website and then my YouTube channel is all about. And I have some stuff I want to talk about when it comes to delivering the club head today that was eye-opening for a lot of students during a lesson the other day. Before we get into that, please hit the subscribe button, like the videos, comment below, and share. Now let's get started. So there's 100 ways to play the game of golf. I mean, you can go about it in any way you choose, and some of them are going to be more efficient than others. Some are going to be easier on your body than others. Some more powerful, some less powerful. I mean, you can get into all kinds of things. And it's interesting. I was talking with another really good instructor friend of mine, and I was like, basically, we are teaching very well educated opinions. Okay. Yes, there's facts and there's science that supports what coaches teach. And in my opinion, the best way to play is to actually deliver the club head with some sort of emotion that some might say is kind of like a baseball swing, if you will. You just kind of whip that club head through there. And the body plays its role as a mobile supporting platform that helps us magnify speed. Okay. And the bulk of your speed comes from your hands, arms, and wrists. And my friend Andrew Emery did a video the other day, and he was talking about the amount of golfers that still think the body is what makes the golf swing work was 85%. And that was very surprising to me because this is just so slow. There's no future in that. There really isn't. And yet so many golfers do what he and I both call the pin and spin. Okay, like they'll pin their arms to their body and they'll spin to try to generate more speed. And they all think the big muscles and rotating as hard as they can is what's going to create club head speed. Now, I'm good friends with Mr. Malaska, and he's just a brilliant coach. And he and I became friends and, coaching colleagues over the levers, using again, hands, arms, wrists, being soft in the swing and delivering this club head. And it's interesting, my career path, I was studying under Hank Haney for a while when he was with Tiger. And again, he was very big on delaying that hit and getting that club to be thrown into the golf ball with the hands at the end. And that's something that a lot of people don't really know about. But the commonality between these great coaches, and even going back to Mr. Flick, was, and he's a mentor for so many of these coaches, but it was never about throwing the body into the golf swing to try to create power and speed. It was never that. And I see so many people on the range still trying to do that. And I will ask them, what are you working on? Just friendly talk. How's it going? What are you working on? And they'll all say, I'm trying to get more body into the swing. I'm trying to get my rotation down. And then I'll say, oh, try this real quick. Do me a favor, put your feet together, go like this, swing the club, and whack, they just crush a golf ball. And they look at you with this astonishment, like, I can't believe that just happened. And in a way, it's frustrating on my side because it's going to help me, but at the same time, that golfer is not going to get better if they keep going on that path. And when a golfer can learn to hit little pitch shots with a pitching wedge going like that, just delivering the club head and then changing gears and adding speed, That is when a golfer really takes the next level and becomes a good player. And I had a gentleman and his son watching me. I had a pitching wedge and I was hitting little 50-yard shots. And then I was hitting shots to 130-yard flag. And I was even aiming at the poles on the driving range and hitting the poles. And I knew how far they were ranged because I ranged them out. And he says, what are you working on? And I said, well, I'm actually working on delivering the speed, kind of delaying the hit a little bit when my arm gets a little bit deeper, and then I let my hands and wrists go. And he said, I thought that's what you were working on. And he goes, it's interesting how much your body is involved when you're doing that. And I was like, oh, cool. Someone gets it and sees it. He goes, I noticed that you only seem to focus on this, but yet your body is very much involved. And he says, I've heard you talk in lessons before that the amount of hip opening up in the golf swing doesn't really determine how far a golfer can hit a golf ball. And I said, it's all about how fast this is going. Okay. Your hips could be dead square. And if this is going 125 miles per hour, doesn't matter what your hips are doing. Most golfers, when they play, when we're moving, just natural instinctive movement, when we come into impact, our hips clear out of the way. I guess that's a term you could use, but they move out of the way and they are accommodating force going that way. And a better golfer never moves into the ball. So when they're coming down into impact, their hips are actually moving back and away to never invade that space. And it was interesting talking to him. And he says, I've learned so much just from watching you hit balls out here before. And he says, I hope you don't mind, I teach my son. You know, he said, I listened on some of your lessons. I'm like, no, well, it's good information. And he talks about delivering the club and how he worked on path. And I have a thing where I use 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. And most golfers, for right-handed players, are swinging over the top to 11 with a wide open face. So their path is moving to the left 4 degrees. Their face is open 4 degrees. So face the path, they're open 8 degrees relative to that golf or to that path, and that golf ball slices significantly, especially with a driver. Every once in a while, with the driver, they will close the face and hit a big, huge pull snap hook, but most of the time they're hitting big, huge slices. And if they would actually learn to get their body to kind of stay back a little bit and feel like they were swinging a little bit more to 1 o'clock while that face is closing, then they're going to hit a draw or a straight shot. And he picked up on that. He says, I teach my son to actually feel that his body's less active and he's longer than all the kids his age. He plays better, he's more accurate, and yet I will go to tournaments and I see these fathers telling their sons to rotate harder to get more speed. And my son and I are over there hitting shots like this and swinging a alignment stick to help generate speed, not to build muscles, but to swing something soft very fast and light very fast. And he goes, that's helping my son's speed come up. And I've heard you talk about that. And I said, well, thanks again, And he goes, I think I owe you money. And I said, no, hey, if you've eavesdropped and heard, that's what it is. But what I'm trying to get at is your body does play a role. It is a stabilizing force. And I've talked about this countless times. But if you are utilizing your body as the main power source, you're not helping yourself. You're actually setting yourself up for injury as well and to hit shorter shots. Okay. You definitely need to have the hands active when it comes to controlling the face. You need to have the wrists active when it comes to unhinging. Like I talk about golfers getting into this spot, and then once they're here, it's just bang, okay? But I love golfers to feel this motion. And every golfer that I've taught that feels this turns into the player that they want to be. And that is a lot of students. And again, I've talked about the secret or the magic move was the release. And I talked about this before where it's just that, and it feels like you're doing this little motion right here. And Mr. Malaska talks about really training this whip type of an action right here. And I couldn't agree with that more. So if you're struggling with your game, 100% make sure your fundamentals are correct. Grip, posture, ball position, aim and alignment, those have to be on point. Then from there, stop thinking about firing your hips, using your core, thinking of coiling. Any of that stuff is not going to help you. Think more about allowing your body to turn, move, rotate in response to your arms going back, and then that whipping the club head at different speeds. And you saw me do 50 yards. I mean, you can even do 10, 15, 20-yard shots just like that. But that is going to make you significantly better when you just swing the club head, bring your hands into here, deliver the club head to the golf ball, and learn to control the face, to control trajectory and your shot shape. And believe it or not, it does not take that much time. And on my website, I talk about building the swing from scratch just with a few little exercises. Lead arm, you know, you do your trail arm, then you do your lead arm, and then it gets right into that. And it really is amazing when golfers learn this and be able to hit shots just like this, how quickly they improve with every club in the bag. And then when they forget the body is not the dominant factor. When they all say, I leave my body at the start line and I allow it to respond to what the club head and the arms are doing, that's when they play their best. And that's coming from students. And it's interesting when I hear Mr. Flick and Malaska and Nicholas talk about that yes, there's a turn and there's a turn, but it's in response to what the arms and the club head are doing. So think about that. Think about building your swing off of this motion right here. Just doing this, that club's going to feel like it's closing. If it's hooking too much, back off the club face closing and then try to hit a little bit straighter. You have the ability to control the club face with your hands. As many times as golf coaches have told you you don't, I'm telling you you do, and that's how you're going to get better. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. This really is chock full of great information and learning how to swing the golf club. Just this right here, this little motion right here. Here's where golfers live that struggle. They rotate, they hold on to this angle. At the last second, they either have to early release because they're in trouble or they try to turn the face down. Good golfers are getting here and going, letting that club whip past them, and their body's keeping up with that. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know.